All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So, Zack Rosenblatt of The Athletic is reporting on some details linking the CBA, what the CBA says, the collective bargaining agreement, and really how this impacts Haason Reddick and the New York Jets from a dollar perspective. So, we all know about the mandatory fines, we all know about the official holdout, we know why Haason Reddick is holding out because he wants a new contract. It's like I'm at the point where I'm just so I'm so over this the whole situation. I just want him I want him and the Jets to come to an agreement finally, right? There needs to be some sort of solution here. The Jets knew Haason Reddick wanted a contract extension back in Philadelphia. That is the reason why he got traded. There's been numerous weird reports. Connor Hughes reporting that, Reddick at the time of the trade, like, accepted that, he was fine playing on the 1 year contract. He was fine playing on a deal with no guaranteed money, despite him wanting a contract extension in Philadelphia, where he played college football at a team, frankly, who, he made the Super Bowl with a couple years prior, but last season in a down year, still made the playoffs. It makes you ask the question, okay, well, if Reddick was truly fine playing on this 1 year, 1 year prove it non-guaranteed contract. In other words, if he goes out and gets hurt in training camp, he's owed nothing for the season. He would probably just stick in Philadelphia. And then we had Haason Reddick come out and tweet something suggesting that, don't believe everything you see. You can't take everything and run with it. That tweet came out a day or two after that Connor Hughes report came out. And then, of course, I believe it was actually the first day of training camp, a new report surfaced from Connor Hughes suggesting that the Jets offered Haason Reddick a contract extension, a small pay raise to what he was currently getting. And then Reddick denied it. Reddick declined it. So, if that was true, why would the Jets still go out and trade away an asset to go bring him in? The whole situation just does not make any sense. I feel like really the only people that have a good idea on what's going on, Joe Douglas, probably Robert Saleh, Haason Reddick, those are probably the main three. But let's go over Rosenblatt's report here. So he says something to note about Haason Reddick's holdout from the Jets per the CBA. For each preseason game he skips, keep in mind, Saturday's the first preseason game, Saturday at noon against Washington. For each preseason game he skips, he'd be fined an entire week's worth of regular season pay, which is 1/18 of his salary. On a $14.25 million salary, that equates to just over $791,000, which means he'd be fined 2.37 mil if he doesn't report before any of the 3 preseason games. That's in addition to the $50K per day he's already being fined, the $100,000 he was fined for skipping minicamp, the $250,000 workout bonus he forfeited, and the $300,000 in discretionary fines the Jets can use, which Saleh indicated the Jets would likely be doing. So far, I believe he's incurred $750,000 in daily training camp fines. So talk about just an absolute mess of a situation. I thought that Reddick was going to get under contract on some sort of reworked deal, whether it was, a 1 or 2 year extension, whether it was more incentives, a fully guaranteed 2024, you can max out as guaranteed at 14.25 mil, which is still a steal for one of the best pass rushers in football. 14, I mean, he's not even getting paid in that, he's not even a top 15 on an annual rate, top 15 highest paid defensive end in football, but he's giving you top level production. That is, an absolute bargain. So it's a no-brainer why Reddick wants a new contract. So you would like to think, okay, well, again, the Jets could max out that fully guaranteed, give him the full 14 mil, and then tack on incentives if the Jets truly don't want to give him extra years attached to the contract. If that's the potential holdup here. Right, you can add on another $6, $7, $9, $8, $9 million in incentives, right? Sack bonuses, whatever the case may be, and then go from there. So if the Jets truly don't want to extend Haason Reddick here, we'd at least have to make it work for this season. Give him the incentive, whatever it is, make it work. The only sort of hiccup that I could possibly see from Reddick's end is if he wants too much money, right? I want $35 million a year. I want $150 million on a total contract, something like that. But I I'm guessing here. I just don't know if Reddick is asking, being unruly with contract demands. I look at a guy who's always been underpaid. I look at somebody who's been one of the better pass rushers in football, and then just looking at the contract, 14 mil, 0 guaranteed. Yeah, okay, if I put myself in the player's shoes, I would want at least some sort of security. I would want at least, maybe specific goals that I could reach for this season if we're talking about a potential restructure and the team that's trading for me does not want to give me an extension. So I just don't necessarily... I don't really put a lot of blame on Reddick in this situation. Of course, I want him to show up for Jets camp, but, objectively speaking, I could see his frustration. But I'll say this, if Joe Douglas does not want to give him an extension, they don't want to tack on more years. If the Jets don't want to give him incentives, if they don't want to guarantee him money for the season, if they don't want to meet in the middle, if it's that... that Joe Douglas thing that we've heard numerous times throughout the years where he values a specific player at a specific price and he's not budging, he's not going to be coming off that number, then why do we trade for him? There were tons of available defensive ends in free agency. We could have just signed one, to a contract of Douglas's liking. We all know Ulbrich and Saleh's track record for developing edge rushers. I mean, look at what we're hearing from Tack McKinley, from Eric Watts, in training camp so far. These guys, there is a method to what Saleh and Ulbrich are doing at on the defensive line. They can develop pass rushers. So, you're telling me out of the 20 players that are that could make an impact, none of them worked. Let me just read off a couple of names from when the window initially opened up at defensive end, right? Some of these guys are really, really good. Some of these guys are average, but a lot of them could make sense in the Jets 4-3 style of Saleh defense here. Leonard Floyd, Daniil Hunter, Jonathan Grenard, Zadarius Smith, Shaq Barrett, AJ Epinesa, Dante Fowler, Brandon Graham, Marcus Davenport, LJ Collier, Derek Barnett, Emmanuel Ogba, Bud Dupree. Who else? Chase Young. I thought that would have been a pretty low risk, high reward style of move. Of course, he did get a solid contract by the New Orleans Saints. But let's just put that in perspective quickly, right? Chase Young got a 1-year, $13 million deal? Coming off a couple of disappointing seasons, coming off some injuries in the past, coming off a neck surgery. Haason Reddick has a ton of sacks over these last 4 seasons with multiple teams and multiple defensive schemes and is at 14.25 with 0 guaranteed. So again, looking at the market, you can understand the player's frustration. But here's the cherry on top. Bryce Huff, right? This is, and look, it's been beaten to death, so I don't want to, harp on it too much. It is what it is. Huff is an Eagle. And it's not a guarantee that Huff is going to turn into this dominant pass rusher for Philly. Maybe he only has 4 sacks this season, right? You never know. But to have a homegrown undrafted free agent, and he's coming off the best pass rushing season on the of the entire team. He was the best pass rusher on the squad. To allow a guy like that just to walk and then to replace him with this headache of a situation, it's just not looking. It just bothers me, right? It does. Now, who knows? Maybe later on today, Reddick and the Jets agree to something fantastic. But up to this point, Reddick has lost a ton of money. There has been the weird reports. We've had the weird Reddick tweet. It's, and we're missing training camp days, so it's not like, I know Saleh alluded to Chris Jones skipping training camp and showing up week 1 and doing well. That's not the case for everybody. That to me is the outlier. So I do expect there to be at least a little bit of rust when you start getting into team drills for Haason Reddick, because he's missed, it's not like he was there at voluntary OTAs and minicamp and whatnot. So, we'll see how this thing plays out. Hopefully Reddick and the Jets agree to something soon, because obviously with Reddick on this defense, he's absolutely, we could literally see this Jets defense be the top defense in football. I mean, tell me that doesn't get you excited. Tell me that doesn't fire you up. The number one defense in football, Reddick has the potential to really push the Jets over the top here. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.